Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including four-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a four-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
Three-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a three-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare two laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Hello and welcome to the second meeting of the season in the Simutec Motorsport TCR Winter Series live on Apex Racing TV. My name is Sam Fitzpatrick. I have got DJ Clark alongside me in the commentary box. Samueli Kaume is bringing you this broadcast on our YouTube channel tonight. And we've got Imola for rounds 4 to 6 of the championship tonight. A few very quick 20-minute races to take us further into this championship. DJ, when we were looking at the calendar at the start of the season, this I think was the one that we were most excited about. It kind of stood out. It wasn't a British circuit. It wasn't maybe a free circuit which is often visited like Okayama. This one's a little bit different, but I think we both agreed that it would be a very good fit for these cars.
Yeah, indeed. It's going to be a whole lot of fun, and while this may be a Grade 1 FIA circuit, it really does have a little bit of a club circuit feel. It's very tight, very narrow, but in these lower horsepower TCRs, there's going to be plenty of overtaking opportunities and plenty of cars plenty of chances to really hang these cars out over the edge, try to push the limits on the drivers around you. It's going to be quite spectacular.
And of course, with just one meeting into the season, still very much the point open in the championship, plenty more to go. But at the moment, it is Miguel Freitas at the top of the standings, 6 points ahead of Ben Thanes. Terje Flatson is in third position. There's Navid Hussein and Mats Borg Anderson. But really, we saw a lot of problems for the drivers last time out, and so it could easily vary around come the 3 rounds tonight. No one really had a perfect time of it, and in the amateurs you can see there Dean Catherwood currently at the top, Thomas Leysons and Ben Denya currently in third position. Watch out for Scott Malcolm. He was very strong on the media day. Didn't quite deliver at Okayama, but I'm sure he will be back with a strong performance out here tonight. Currently the drivers are in a 50 minutes qualifying session. We've currently got Matthew Crisp up at the top of the standings, who is not Martin Crisp, and that is my main mission tonight, to get that name right every time we go to him. Currently seeing Thor Hagen approach the line, getting a little bit of a tow. This could be quite a strong lap actually for Hagen, albeit actually I'm not sure if he's seen any personal best times, so we will see if he can improve. Flatson does improve to third place, but Hagen I think just setting off on a quick lap right now. But yeah, just a word on that previous round of the championship, DJ, we saw it seemed to be sort of 6 or 7 cars at the front of the pack. Any of them could win. It was really competitive. But I think everyone kind of had one bad round, and that's kind of why we got Freitas at the top of the standings, because if I recall correctly, I didn't think he actually won a round last time out, but he was just extremely consistent.
Exactly, and in a sort of multi-race setting such as this, that is really what's going to be key here, is consistency, 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 making sure you get the best results that you can, not necessarily going for all and going for the win, but trying to focus on the top 5, a podium if you can. Getting those results, that's going to be really the best way forward to try to secure this championship.
Yeah, it's a lot easier said than done, but the best way to do that, I guess, is to get up at the front and then try to avoid too much of the mess which will occur behind you inevitably. And yeah, that's certainly what Freitas did last time out. Very experienced driver as well, so I mean, if anyone's going to avoid the issues, it's going to be Miguel Freitas. Currently top of the amateurs is Catherwood. He's ahead of Laysons, and I think that's the same order in the amateur championship as well. Catherwood, I don't think attended the media round, so he was a little bit out of nowhere last time out. Even he had a problem in race 3 actually, but he managed to come back to a decent result. So yeah, he looks pretty strong. Laysons up there as well. Would you say those two are kind of the favourites for the championship after what we saw in round 1, or do you think there's others who are going to be contending?
I think those two are the main ones. I think that Naveed Hussein is very, very quick, but we haven't seen the outright consistency from Naveed that'll necessarily put him in championship contention, although he'll certainly be up there for a win. I do think you may see some drivers start to challenge with just some outright consistency, especially if this ends up throwing up a little bit of a curveball to a couple of drivers on a track like this. We could see the championship really change around. This is one of those tracks where I could unfortunately see some contact coming into play, some drivers getting forced down the order pretty big, and that changing things up quite a bit.
Yeah, we were doing F3s at Bathurst on Saturday, and I think I tried to make it quite clear to everyone, expect a crash, because I think if you're expecting not to have a crash, you're quite disappointed when there is one, maybe, or maybe you want to crash. I'm sure our viewers, and to a certain extent myself as well, I do quite like seeing a 20-car wreck like we ended up seeing on Saturday. But you know, let's not kid around. There will be contact. I think you're absolutely right. Heading into turn 1, and yeah, so most likely a few problems in each of the races. I've just got a word in my ear that there has been a suspension change. I was just looking on the forums for this change to the suspension, I believe for the Honda, and this has been something that has been kind of holding back this car, where over the curves it just oscillates insane. And I was doing stewarding for another TCR series the other day, and I don't think it was damaged, but it was like legit like what iRacing thought should be happening to the car, and a driver hit the curb and it was insane. I mean, it was like a pogo stick we're talking about, where it was just oscillating so much. It's been a big problem, and particularly around this circuit, those changes should make a big difference. So hopefully we see the Hondas a bit stronger, I think, tonight, because yeah, that should really help them, especially if they do ever go completely over a curb. Not having that huge oscillations that they were having before should help them out a lot.
Yeah, it certainly should, and it's going to be very interesting because that will change the handling characteristics of the car outright, and so we're going to have to see any drivers how quickly they're able to adapt to it, really and truly. And so that's going to be a big thing for it to keep in mind, is that this literally was put in today. And so drivers are going to have to be a little bit wary trying to figure this out. They're going to be learning on the fly, and that is going to be something that I think you're going to really see separate out some of the good drivers from the best drivers, is who's able to very quickly adapt to it and get that done.
Yeah, I can also say that the Honda Civic Type R has had engine cooling has been updated, a new shock package has been added to address the issues with bouncing due to large curb strikes, also something to do with mirror portals, which sounds quite fun, that'll help frames per second, and some other uninteresting, unnecessary stuff. Some of the iRacing baseline setups have been changed, so it's certainly back up your point that, yeah, we'll change the characteristics of the car there, so will be an interesting one as we see James Leggett all over the curves, and unfortunately that Honda not oscillating so much, so clearly these changes doing a good job. We're just moments away from the end of this session. Of course, once the 15 minutes are up, that is it for the drivers, so they do need to complete their lap time, as we see this new function that we should be able to bring you tonight with the stewards updating us, and we've got the 18 and the 53 which are under investigation. That is 2 pro drivers. The 18, I cannot, here we go, Matthew Crisp, and the 20, was it 23, the other one? I'm not quite sure who the other car was, but certainly Matthew Crisp under investigation for something that's gone on in qualifying. I assume maybe accidentally blocking his opponent.
Could be definitely blocking the opponent here, as I said, especially when you get through the twisty bits here at Imola, it is very, very easy to do. Ooh, James Leggett having a little off there coming up around the exit of Piratella. That's going to be an area I think we're going to see quite a few drivers off. It's an area that's very easy to push on, but also very easy to get wrong.
Yeah, I really like that section. A bit annoying that, you know, there's no deterrent when going out wide, though. We saw that in the Formula 1 in qualifying earlier this year, where because there's no curb there, and so it's totally got to just eyeball what the track limits are around that track. So it's not brilliant, but the actual corner, at least, is a lot of fun. And of course, plunging down into Acqua Minerale really is a fun circuit. It's one of the best tracks, I think, to drive in the world, at least in my opinion. As we've got Terry Flatson on pole position, only 4/100ths of a second clear of Naveed Hussein. Then it's Matthew Crisp, Ben Thanes, Thor Hagen, Gerard Rainford, Paul King. Top of the amateurs is Thomas Layson. Excellent, that's a really good qualifying for him. Only 5.5 off pole. Then it's Miguel Freitas, championship leader. Dean Catherwood in 10th place. Then it's Tim Perry, Mark Woodhouse in 12th. Ben Hicks, Ben Denyer, Hakon Ask, Ricard Neto, Adam Wright, Sean Gardner, Brian Loynes, Martin Shirley, Chris Young, James Leggett, Sven Kalber, Craig Schill, Joachim Gulbranson, Niels de Kuiper, Scott Malcolm a little bit far down there in 27th place, Wayne Palmer, Greg Parmenter, John Roberts, very low down for the pro driver, Neil Stevenson, and Damien Harris will be storming through. I don't know if that's a penalty for Harris, but he is on the grid at least, so watch out for him. He'll be gaining a lot of places. And of course, DJ, super important, this race 1, I think the most important race of the night, because it sets the grid for race 2.
Sets the grid for race 2, and then in race 3, remember, we have that invert, so you need to have a good result here to be able to get yourself up and forward. It is very, very crucial.
Yeah, it sure is, and yeah, Toto Flatton putting himself in the perfect place, but it's a decently long run down to the first proper corner, at least, and it is also extremely narrow. These TC cars, not the biggest in the world, but expect to see 3 wide down there, and probably a bit of contact and some slowdowns as well from Giles having to go across the chicane. So here come the lights, everyone is onto the grid, and race 1 of the evening is about to get underway. The 5 lights are on. Terry Flatton from pole position. And we are away here at Imola. It's a very poor start for Navid Hussein, who immediately drops down to 4th place and might get even worse for him. In fact, as Chris moves up into 2nd place, Hagen is attacking Hussein. He'll have to go to the outside. Hussein maybe a little bit early on the brakes, but he does manage to fend off that place. Good start for Layson. Poor start for a couple of the amateurs. Dean Catherwood, the championship leader in the amateurs, dropping down 7 places already. He really did not get off the line whatsoever. But Layson's really good. He's actually got Rainford off the start along with King. So not too many changes in the top 10 in the pros, at least, as we see Mark Woodhouse just fending off Tim Perry. In fact, he's consolidating that overtake, as we've got some context in the background. That is Sven Calbert, and I think also Niels de Kuiper and Damien Harris have been involved in something. Harris now off the track and into the wall as well. Big hit into the tyres, and Harris trying to get in places from last place on the grid, but that has not worked out for him.
No, it is not. As we watch here, James Leggett in a very, very fierce battle around him. That is Goldbrayson trying to get around him to the best of his abilities. Very, very tight through Piratella, going down into Agua Minerale. You do not want to be too wide coming through this decreasing Apex series of corners. They straighten themselves out here as they make the run towards Variante Alta.
Yeah, a lot of these corners are totally impossible to overtake, but they are still a lot of fun to drive around because you can still get yourself into position for a move afterwards. As already coming back, oh, that's good. Is that going to be into the leader? It is into the leader. Flatson, through no fault of his own, gets absolutely missiled out of the lead. And well, I think that was pretty much the teammates taking each other out. That was Hussein with the tap into Ben Thanes, and then big contact, and wow, that was absolutely huge. That's a different incident that's under investigation, but I'm sure this one will be under investigation as well. And Ben Thanes had absolutely no control over this one. He's had to take back to the pits. Flatson as well back into the pits, and you can see it coming. You don't see that too often at Imola, but that corner does leave it open. And what bad luck there for Flatson. He nailed the start, and through no fault of his own, he's been taken out of race 1, and that could possibly ruin his entire meeting.
It very well could, and I think that was Navid Hussein just trying to get a little bit aggressive. I think he was upset with the fact that he did not have the best start to this race as they work their way up the hill now through Tosa. And I think that was just a little bit of the red mist descending on the number 7. He was a little over aggressive, misjudged the braking zone, and bada bing, as we see James Leggett off.
And that car is very breaking. Gosh, you saw this at Bathurst as well. The walls have got very handy over, or very clingy over the last week or so, because that one again absolutely eating up the car, as Vetus is really slow. He could have got a, no, well, it could be a slowdown, I guess, yeah, but he was going so slow. I wouldn't have thought he would pick up a slowdown, but championship leader down into 16th place. Some big hitters in the championship having some huge problems so far in this race. I assume Hussein will get a penalty, so he'll be dropping down. We've now got another incident between Palmer. There's been a couple of crashes. I think Schill and Calbert may have had a second incident earlier on in the lap, and now we're seeing Hussein drop back. Now, is that a slowdown as well? Has he picked one up over the Variante Alta? It means that Layson, the amateur judge, such as the craziness that's gone on ahead of him, along with his very strong start, I should add as well, he's up into the podium places.
Well, indeed, that's a very, very good run for him, being able to move his way forward past Navid Hussein. He's got a good amount of time to try to make up here, about 7/10 of a second up the road to Paul King, that other Ignium Motorsports driver, but he's certainly starting to close it down. Meanwhile, out at the front, Thomas Crisp just laying down lap after lap. He is about 1.6 seconds up the road.
Yeah, he looks fairly tricky to beat right now. It is a 20-minute race, which actually in these cars almost feels quite long, if anything, especially with some of the formats that other series follow with just sort of 15-minute races. These 20-minute races, if anything, do feel like quite a decent amount of time to actually get back a gap. It's only 2 seconds, but yeah, he is looking extremely strong right now. Was the fastest man on track out of anyone besides, well, in fact, yeah, he was the fastest man out on track on that last tour of the circuit. As we've got this good battle. Scott Malcolm now up into 4th position out of the amateur drivers. He is up 10 places overall. In fact, He might be, along with actually Neil Stevenson is up 11 places, but Malcolm the second highest gainer so far. But he's got a lot of cars behind him. Joachim Gulbrandsen, the Norwegian, is one of them, and Gulbrandsen goes for an ambitious move at Aqua Minerale. Pick that one out. You won't see many moves on that part of the track, but he's pulled it off. Through a bit of contact, admittedly, and also it seems like Rainford, the pro driver, has also gone with him, as the 7 and the 69 are under investigation, and that is for the Hussein and the other Hussein's incident earlier on, him and Ben Thanes.
And as we said, not necessarily surprised about that happening. We kind of expected that investigation to happen. We focus back here on Thomas Layson as he is trying to close that gap on Hussein, looking very, very strong here. Maybe he's going to have a little bit of something. We're 3 wide.
And look at this. Everyone trying to be aware of where everyone is. The track kind of narrows and it causes curving as well. And now we've got a car just slow a little bit ahead as well. Onto the grass and spinning around there. That's Wright, I think, who is... oh, no, sorry, Wright had his own issue. Wright, I think, didn't have anyone around him. He's had a big hit there from Sean Gardner as the other tries to come across. That is one of the pro drivers of Rainford, who stood to gain something out of all of them. But in the end, he... also went off the track. I think he may have even spun off the track. Look at Damien Harris storming around the outside. He gains probably about 4 places in that one chicane.
Does indeed, and that just goes to show what you can do if you keep your nose clean a little bit there for Damien Harris, able to move his way up into 17th position and starting to gap Stevenson just a little bit. He's got Loyns and Malcolm, that nice little battle we were focused on before, just up the road to the tune of about 2 seconds, so a good amount of time that he's still got to make up, but he's going to be driving in his rearview mirrors here a little bit, I have to think.
A fantastic comment, or not commentator's curse, but viewer curse from Anton Dupin. Great to have him watching along, because you're saying Tim Perry must be cheating, being up in 6th place. Well, then he made a mistake and dropped down to 7th place. So I love to see that. Yeah, I think he just went off at the first chicane, or one of the first 2 chicanes did Perry. So yeah, down to 7th place, albeit he is keeping behind Hicks, has been able to pull away slightly. That gap was down to just a few tenths, but back up to close to a second. In fact, we can see a replay of, well, not Perry's incident, but, well, I think we want to see this one. So this was right on the inside then. And so we see, oh no, Wright did get a hit, didn't he? He got a hit from the Team Mad car. That wasn't Freitas, perhaps. And then you got just more cars all going off the circuit as well.
Well, and I think a little bit of that is frankly just some incident fixation. When you dive down into the corner like that and you see another car that is off, you don't want to do it, but your eyes will just focus on that other car rather than driving your own racing line, and that'll cause you to slightly miss the apex and slightly maybe miss your braking zone a little bit, and that can where you just get a little bit of incidents causing incidents. So it's just sort of a natural human reaction that happens. You really have to be on your game and train your brain not to focus on a car that's off like that.
Yeah, I think that you're absolutely right. That's one of those things that you got to practice, and sometimes like a good reason to turn off the F3 screen, because I mean, personally, I always get super excited whenever I see a gap coming down. You can be totally fixated when you see someone go up ahead of you, but yeah, you gotta keep it cool. As car number 7, Navid Hussein, has got a drive-through penalty for that incident that we saw earlier on, as Rainford makes up one of those places. Being alerted on the YouTube chat that Hussein has got up into 2nd place. Apologies for not showing that, but of course other stuff was happening. As also Ricardo Neto, the Portuguese driver, slowing down. He's lost a lot of places, I think, with that slowdown. But Hussein will be into the pits very soon. I doubt he wants to battle Matthew Crisp. And I get it, this is one of the longest pit lanes as well of the season, so this will cost him a lot of time. He is going to stay out. I think he wants to have some clean air, try to build up a gap, and yeah, try to not lose as many places as possible, but I think he'll probably drop down to about 22nd place.
Yeah, I think he will, as well as here is Denyer, and Young making a little bit of a look behind him. There's that long draft as there is Ricardo Neto coming down pit lane. But here is Denyer trying to hold off Young. This is the draft coming into play. They're going to be side by side as they start this curving section going down into Tamburello. Very late on the brakes. I think that was a little bit of teammate lifting and letting Chris Young on by.
Yeah, smart stuff. The pro getting past the amateur. And yeah, so good work there from Young. That's a pack of Hyundais on the outskirts of the top 10 race, doing well to get back up to 10th place. And Stevenson has had a problem of it. He's back on track, just dropping down to 19th. We catch the battle for the lead, which isn't really the battle for the lead. Hussein, with that drive-through penalty, will be serving that, well, I'm not sure what the rules are in this series, but I assume it's kind of standard kind of 3-lap rules. Albeit, I think actually it's administered by iRacing, isn't it? So it might be upwards of 5 laps, I think you can get away without serving it for. But yeah, Hussein kind of getting held up here. I wonder if you'll just not go for the move, as he takes a lot of curb rounds at very anti-out. Got to be careful not to pick up a slowdown like he did earlier on. This will be particularly annoying for Hussein, because it seems like had he not made that mistake, he would have won this race. It was a bad start for him, but he's had the pace to catch up with the others. Yeah, of course, that mistake proving costly, and we wait to see if he will take that penalty this time round.
Yeah, indeed. It's going to be a case of what could have been, as here he's going to dive down pit lane. This may dump him out as far back as around, I think, potentially 17th or 18th position. He could be very, very far down in the order, depending on how quickly he's able to get out of here. Just those cars streaking on by him. Yeah,
and with the old pit lane, I don't think it would be quite as bad around here, but of course it is a very long one now. As will he be ahead of this few cars? No, he's just going to be behind seemingly. So your guess wasn't too far off. 15th place for Hussein. About 20 seconds lost down that pit lane. So he could still probably get back up, even to P8. Still got a decent way to go in this race, but of course he's got to be careful not to get involved in any collisions. And of course, he this result will set the grid for race 2. So that drive-through penalty being particularly costly. He's now behind Damien Harris, who started in last place and of course had an instant on that one, did Harris. So Harris will be delighted to see himself ahead of one of his main championship rivals.
Yeah, he'll be very happy about that, and he'll also be happy to see here Martin Shirley and Chris Young kind of battling it out, or excuse me, Brian Lawrence and Martin Shirley battling it out directly ahead of him, is that'll really hopefully allow him to gain back in. Heavy braking here through Aqua Minerale, keeping everything nice and tidy. Hussein not going for anything too crazy, but gets a much better run out of the corner. I think he's going to have a look going down into Variante Alta.
Or it would be bold. He didn't go for it in the end. But has he got the better exit? This looks a lot better now, and I think he'll have an excellent chance heading into Ravazza at the end of the lap. But look how the other cars have been able to catch up in this one. Harris very much within passing range, so really if Loins doesn't go for this one, I think Harris may well do. And now Hussein is right onto the back. These 4 cars separated by about a second or so. They start this very long stretch and the kind of pit curves, as Catherwood has had another problem. Been a poor race for Catherwood, qualified superbly, but fell back at the start and has had problems ever since then. Yeah, was there any change between Shirley and Loins? Now getting ahead of Shirley, so that move for that position is ahead now, so good work there from Loins. Also change for second position. Layson's momentarily ahead. Paul King trying to come back, and look at Woodhouse as well, trying to get past the pair of them. Layson's up into second place, and Woodhouse trying to get this podium place as well.
That's a very heads-up move there from Mark Woodhouse, being able to get the car up alongside. He's going to have a little bit of the preferred line here through Piratella, but I think King's going to be able to take some momentum if he wants to do it. They're not giving way, either of them, the 3 and the 26, continuing on side by side. Somebody's got to give up before they go into Aqua Minerale. Oh.
Wow, just about got away with it. Good drive from the pair, then they both left each other a car's width, I think, throughout all of that, and was very aware of one another. Now having to go defensive though is King. That's going to put him offline. This is just allowing Layson to pull away. And of course this will be helping as well Ask and Perry, who are catching up in the background. Yeah, Ask and Perry. Perry looking fairly quick at the moment, but Ask, yeah, in the 54s that last time round was faster than Paul King, who does seem to be struggling as this race goes on. So Layson, the amateur driver, that's what that white stripe indicates. And you can see how far ahead he is, not just in terms of position, but also in terms of time is Layson. Absolutely perfect drive from him, and he's sprinting away in that runner-up position.
Yeah, he is a very, very impressive driver. I mean, the closest other amateur driver is Ben Denyer, all the way back in 10th place. So this will be a big boon here to Thomas Layson. And here we've got a side-by-side between King and Woodhouse. Woodhouse trying to stick it around the outside of Tamburello, but he's forced to give up the ghost.
As Ask is off the track, and that means that Perry moves into 5th place. How close will Hicks be? Albeit that Hicks will battle his teammate too much. That was just a self-mistake there from Ask. So Perry takes the advantage, and well, maybe he is hacking the game according to Anton Dupan up there, doing very well. The highest placed Honda driver. As we catch back with these guys, and there hasn't been a whole lot of movement actually. So Lloyd's got ahead of Shirley, but since then Shirley's been able to keep Harris behind him. He's getting a bit tired of this one, as Ask is back ahead of Perry. So maybe, oh no, now there's contact between the two of them. I was thinking maybe Perry made contact at Tamburello and was letting the position go. Well, maybe it was, but there was another bit of contact, and they're taking chunks out of one another right now. Ask back to 5th.
Yeah, really just going at it, and it's a good move there for Ask. Hicks trying to get involved if he can, having a good result for that Motorsports Blaze team if they can, able to keep everything nice and easy going down through Variante Alta. That's a better run from behind there for Hicks, trying to get a good move on Perry. Maybe he can get something into Ravazza.
It seems like it's Perry who's the certainly the one who's vulnerable this time round. But no, such changes. Certainly not easy to make an overtake around this Imola circuit, but there's a few extra overtaking spots than I thought there would be. As we see Hussein, who's been able to get past both Harris. He was kind of dawdling about a bit behind Shirley. He wasn't getting the move done, and that's kind of been his disadvantage right there, because it's allowed Hussein to get past him, and Hussein now with a car between himself and the Honda driver, apologies, as well, we catch back in, and you can see how Hussein really isn't very far behind these guys, because they're holding each other up a lot. There's a car up in the foreground, but that's a back marker, so should get out of the way of these drivers. Probably best actually just to cut the track there. That's what he's done, albeit I'm not sure how deliberate that was. Yeah, that surely wasn't very deliberate into the wall. Hicks just going off the track, in fact, so he's dropped a place now to Freitas. So Freitas up into 7th place, and Hicks down to 8th.
Yeah, Freitas doing a good job to recover. Here's a little battle for the final step on the podium. That's Paul King and Mark Woodhouse. They're going to bang doors coming up through Piratella. And again, it looks like King's got a nose ahead as they dive down. Now Woodhouse has to give up the ghost a little bit as they come through Agua Minerale, but that's going to compromise the exit of Paul King. Is Woodhouse going to be able to make the attack here into Variante Alta? That's a one-way street. He's just got to outbreak him here.
Good defense, really good car positioning there from King, and I hope we see this battle continue in race 2 and race 3 later on, because these two seem extremely evenly matched. Maybe Woodhouse with the sights advantage, but of course he does have the draft advantage as well, which you'd imagine is helping him out a bit. They can really battle as much as they like. They've got a strong gap over Ask behind, who really isn't a worry after his battle with Perry a couple of laps ago. As we move on to the final lap of the race, Chris miles ahead, Layson's miles ahead of these guys. Here comes Woodhouse again. This might be his best chance towards the end of the race, but it's so tricky to go around the outside here at Imola. All these chicanes are super narrow, but he has got a significant margin ahead. as his rival glitches out slightly. Really good move there from Woodhouse. He manages to get round, carried a lot of speed, and Woodhouse is up into 3rd place, and he's pulled a bit of a gap out as well. And as long as he keeps it clean to the end of the race, he should have that very well earned podium place from 12th on the grid.
Yeah, and that was a textbook maneuver on how to get a pass done around the outside of Tamburello, just able to get a little bit more momentum around the first part of the chicane, and then knowing the track will favor you. You saw how he fed King out a little bit through the second part of the chicane, forced him to go a little bit wide, and King just had to get out of it. Otherwise, he would have run onto the gravel. So a great move there from Mark Woodhouse to secure this final podium position. So we've got a real hornet's nest here behind with Tim Perry. That's Ask ahead of him, and Fritas closing in behind.
Seems like Perry's breaking point into Piratella is just a few meters later than Ask, and use him as a side brake, because we've seen those two glide twice there now. As well, this could get quite messy. We got just a few more corners to go. He doesn't go up the inside. That was a possibility for Perry, but that would have been guaranteed contact. There is contact anyway. Can he get it stopped? No, he's just about going to make the corner, and this is opening the gap here for Miguel Freitas to storm through, and it does got very messy there. Ask spins round, and that will really compromise the rest of his evening, as we've got the race leader Matthew Crisp. Whilst everything was going on behind him, he has had a very comfortable race win from 3rd place on the grid. Crisp wins race 1. Hicks is off the circuit now at the end. It's really mixed up this field, with Denyer moving up a couple of places into 8th place. Layson wins in the amateurs. Denyer will get 2nd place right there. And where was Ask in all of that? Well, Ask only just gets him back underway. What was the hold up there? Didn't seem to have too much damage on the car, maybe just letting lots of cars pass, but seemed to be stationary for about half a minute right there. And Ask, after a really good performance, nearly got P5, as there's more contact now. Huge contact on the run to the line. Can any of them make it? Just about. I think Catherwood will make it, but I think that might be a penalty, because Stevenson and De Kuiper losing out big time. Stevenson having to use the motorbike circuit there, and we're about to get a replay of this one. I wonder if we get an onboard of the Honda to see the gap that he tries to go for in this scenario, because you can see how slow the cars were just in front of him, and then he goes for the middle, and yeah, lots of contact, and then more contact, but he was the one who got to the line stop.
Yeah, and that was just sort of a misunderstanding, I would almost say, between himself and Niels De Kuiper. As you could see there that he went for the gap right as De Kuiper tried to close that down, and just not able to get it done. De Kuiper having to, looks like, not even get across the line. He's just lots of damage to that car.
Yeah, and of course, if you go front into the walls, then you usually get quite a... and of course, if you damage the wheels in that scenario, then of course you lose any power that you can put down, being front wheel cars in these. So it is properly bad going nose first. I think at least myself, I always get super used to just limping it around with a 90 degree steering lock, but it's much worse in these TCR cars. As we see the results for race 1, Matthew Crisp up at the top. Layson, again, what a performance. I really didn't think after Okayama that we'd have an amateur driver on the podium all season, but Layson here in just round 4 of the championship, really in a strong position. Mark Woodhouse was in 3rd place, then it was Paul King, Miguel Freitas, Thor Hagen, Tim Perry, Ben Denyer was 2nd place out of the amateurs. There's Naveed Hussein, Damien Harris, Brian Loynes, Chris Young, Martin Shirley, Gerard Rainford, Scott Malcolm, Ben Hicks, Dean Catherwood, who might get a penalty. Craig Schill was in 18th place, 43 seconds behind, and then 19th was Neil Stevenson, who was one of the cars who was involved in that late race incident. Then it was Hakon Ask, Ricardo Neto, apologies. Terrier Flatson, who was in the lead. Remembered that when Flatson was leading for 80% of a lap. What a shame, and he's got a lot of catching up to do. He's tried to get back into the top 12 if he can to get a reverse grid position. Then it was Sven Kalber, Wayne Palmer, Niles De Kuiper, John Roberts, Joachim Goldbranson, Greg Parmenter, Adam Wright, Sean Gardner, James Leggett, and Ben Thames, who was the other car involved in that one. And once he had that incident, he had enough, did not rejoin the circuit, and instead sat it out. Hopefully we at least see him take part in race 2 and race 3, because he'll be a that'll be very action-packed for him, as we are in a warm-up session, just the 4 minutes, so a couple minutes to go. And I think quite important for the drivers to have this little bit of a cool down, because I could kind of sense with that late race incident between, I believe it was Perry and Ask, I could kind of just see that one boiling over, I think, DJ, and I think it was boiling over for a few drivers. Really lots of action there, lots of overtakes, a lot of drivers out of position, which was causing the overtakes. So yeah, best to take a glass of water in this scenario.
Yeah, exactly. It's very good to just calm down a little bit here. You've got 2 more races to go, and as a driver, I'm not surprised that we're not seeing a whole lot of drivers out on track right now. I think a lot of folks, they know this track very well. Imola is one of those circuits that a lot of people know very, very well. And so for them, this is just an opportunity to let the nerves simmer down a little bit, not let them boil over, and just get yourself focused for this second race here.
Yeah, which I think is going to be, of course, race 1, like I keep on saying, most important race of the evening. It kind of defines what the rest of your evening will be. If you get a bad result in race 1, then it will very much limit your possibilities for race 2 and potentially race 3. But I think there's a few drivers who are going to be just aiming for that reverse grid spot. We're not sure what the reverse grid is going to be tonight, but up in that top 6, of course, is going to be the big kind of aim for those drivers that will guarantee themselves a reverse grid for race 2. Sorry, apologies, for race 3, and that will be done separately for the Pro and AMS. So the AMS want to get up those positions as well if they possibly can. It could be very important. As do you think that this could be quite an easy race this time round for Crisp? You know, pole position this time around. If anything, it should be easier, but are we going to see a proper battle for maybe Woodhouse, or is there anyone really close to Crisp who can battle him? Because of course so many of his rivals are down the order after contacting race 1.
I think he has just got to focus on the start. If he's able to get another good start like he did last time, that means that he'll just be able to pull away again, and I don't see any real challenge from him coming up through the field. Layson is good, but just didn't have the outright speed.
Let us know who you are supporting in the YouTube chat as we see the grid for race 2. It is the finishing order from race 1. So I won't bore you through it, and I won't risk getting any names wrong as it cycles through for you. But yeah, do let us know on the YouTube chat who you are supporting. Yeah, we do like to see the fan clubs. I want to see maybe some chants or maybe some puns maybe made out of some names. It would be very good. I'd like to imagine you guys cheering along, banners up, posters up, maybe confetti flying everywhere whenever maybe your driver wins a race. Yeah, that's the type of environment we want to foster if we possibly can. As well, already the lights are getting on to end my speech there. Crisp on the pole position, Layson alongside him, and race 2 of the evening is underway. Really good start for the guys on the front row of the grid, but it was a terrible start for Paul King there, who is dropping down the order. He's already lost 5 places from his race start. Crisp has got the inside line into turn 1, so it should be all safe, as we see a bit of 3 wide further down in the order. Freitas also trying to gain a place. King, even worse for him, and there's a bit more contact as well further down with I think a couple of his teammates. Ricardo Neto is involved. Neil Stevenson, after a crash at the end of race 1 into a crash in race 2, has a huge impact there. That was Scott Malcolm. He absolutely demolished a stationary car. Fiber flying absolutely everywhere. Ben Hicks, Brian Loynes involved in that. I think it may have been Loynes who was the initial car who spun. And yeah, a lot more contact. You can see how many drivers have had to tow back to the pits. But out in the lead, Crisp, Layson and Woodhouse all in the same order. Great start for Damien Harris. He's up 5 places from his start. And Navid Hussein up 3 places.
Exactly, and that battle, that 4, 5, 6, that's something to keep an eye on here. Freitas, Harris, and Hussein, as we have a yellow. We have a full course yellow.
Now, this is superb. I did not expect us to have this. So this is an extra element, and of course it will bunch everyone back up. And yeah, that will be yeah, after the carnage that we saw almost a track block, of course, and it might also give the drivers a bit of an opportunity to calm down as well. And might give the stewards a little bit of an opportunity as well to view those incidents. Here is Scott Malcolm, great work from Sam Kume, our director. You can see how he's totally outside it, has no way of avoiding the 37 machine there, who was actually Thor Hagen. So I don't know if we could see the replay of how Hagen got into that scenario, because we were kind of watching what was going on at turn 1, and Hagen further up the order was having his own problem. He started up in 6th place, actually did Thor Hagen, really benefited towards the end of lap 1, and that was contact with Freitas. You can just see Hagen actually really unlucky there, trying to control the car, but totally the car's braking. He's just a passenger at that point, and yeah, spinning into oncoming traffic.
Yeah, exactly. As we focus back here on Matthew Crisp, rather. Now it's my turn to get his name wrong over the course of the day. But yeah, this is going to be a really interesting change. We're not used to seeing these TCRs start off on a rolling start, just giving some time here by race control to let everybody calm back down again. And I have to think here that this is just going to make everybody a little bit crazier, that they're going to just have a little bit more anxiety to get themselves forward, because we've got less time in this race.
Yep, yeah, I think you make a good point. That, I mean, for example, Hussein was already up into 6th place. I think he could probably see the race win, honestly, which would be incredible. I maybe ruled out Hussein. He started P9, but well, we saw how quick he caught up to Crisp in race 1. He was in a very good position, but this is really going to eat into the time, because we're going to have this lap, then another lap. It's when the lights go out on the safety car that will go back green, because this is quite a deceivingly long lap. It doesn't feel like a very long lap. I guess maybe it's because it's famous for kind of Formula 1, so you get used to the very short lap times that you have around this place. But it is, yeah, a decently long track, and so we will probably only have about 12 minutes to go on the clock when the time is run out. Now, if anyone on the YouTube chat, or if you know yourself, DJ, about the towing times, because I know that it takes longer to tow in a caution than it does if it's not a caution. But I don't know if you tow before the caution comes out. I don't know if it adds time onto your towing if the caution comes out after you've towed. Like, it just, like, halfway through your towing time, it just adds like an extra bunch. I'm not quite sure. But you see, the reason why they do that is so that you can't just tow back to the pits and get ahead of everyone. It does seem like we've still got a lot of drivers in the pits, so I'm hoping they'll all leave the pits ASAP so they can join onto the back of the train and still be on the lead lap. But once Chris kind of crosses the start-finish line, unfortunately, all those drivers who tow back on lap 1 will officially be a lap down.
Yeah, they will indeed, and I'm not sure about the yellow towing time there necessarily, although I should, because I have to tow quite often whenever I'm racing. But yeah, so waiting to see if there's any movement from pit lane. I'm not seeing any right now. I have a bunch of those drivers going a lap down and effectively eliminating themselves from contention.
Well, just as to Kuiper has come into the pits, pit lane is open. I have done a few oval races recently, so I roughly know that. I don't like to boast, but I did win one of the rounds of the ARL NASCAR the truck series from ARL, and I can almost hear Sam Kumo sighing, because I think he was in that race, and he knows better than anyone else how I boast about it all the time. As the drivers are taking faster pairs there, so a few drivers just getting niggling little bits of contact early on. They'll drop to the end of line, however. So yeah, enough about me boasting. But yeah, I think we roughly know what's going on, at least out there. As you see, the safety car lights are out, so the safety car will come into the pits on this time. And those drivers who were a lap down, they seem to all be mixed around, but now I think they're being given a wave around, so they'll be able to overtake, as we've seen at least one driver do there. That was Neil Stevenson overtaking. Hopefully the rest of them will be able to overtake as well and race round, and well, they might not make back the entire lap, but at least they'll only be half a lap down instead.
Yeah, exactly, and that'll just be a little bit of a an ego and confidence boost to them not finishing a lap down, but it should set up some interesting battles for those cars that are going to be there. Scott Malcolm, you can see there, able to get back out on track. He is one of the ones that is getting the benefit of that wave around. Just involving a little bit of problem here just because of how many twisty bits there are on this track. He's not able to get the car up to full speed and pass everybody.
Well done to everyone in the YouTube chat. You are very funny people. So congratulations on that. Really good stuff is what I can say. Multiple contributors. So yeah, I can only applaud your humour. Anyone who isn't looking at the YouTube channel, of course, do so. Some of them it might bring back some traumatic experience. For others, a very happy moments. Lap 1 instance will be reviewed post-race, and that's understandable. There was a few to go through, so trying to piece it all together post-race will the stewards. There's still a few more of these drivers getting past. Of course, a lot of these drivers won't be familiar with the wave round. You do get a message which says go past all the cars ahead, but for those guys who aren't so aware of it, it is a bit tricky. Stevenson, by the way, just crossing the line now to start his next lap, so he's still going to be a long way behind as the drivers try to get some heat into the tyres. And yeah, Martin Crisp got to... Oh dear. Okay, that's the first one I made wrong tonight, along with DJ's incorrect one earlier on. But Matthew Crisp is going to be launching us back away. We have got the top 24, and maybe even Thor Hagen might catch up to the back of the pack as well in that 25th place car. Going to be launching very soon once the safety car comes into the pits. Crisp leaving a bit of a gap. He might leave this one until really late, but he has got to be careful because the green flag does come out quite early around this Imola circuit. Crisp actually goes very early, and he's been able to get the jump on Lasons as we are back underway here into green flag conditions. 11.5 minutes to go here for race 2 at Imola. Crisp leading the way ahead of Lasons. Is anyone close behind? Freitas looking close on Woodhouse. Those two are teammates, so potentially expect a swap between the two of them. And also Harris and Hussein continuing their battle from race 1. Harris on the inside defending that 5th place.
Defending it, Hussein, I thought was going to be able to take it, but that assault is now going to allow for Tim Perry, as we have Ben Denyer off in the background for the Indian Motorsports Park driver, as that's a defense there from David Hussein, being able to hold off Tim Perry from behind. He's now going to try to focus his eyes up ahead once again to Damian Harris, but as I said, that battle front and back has cost Hussein some time.
Yeah, he's now 3 seconds back and has got a few quick cars he's got to overtake in front of him. As we see, what's this detachment there? Look at that, 4 seconds. That may have been when Denyer went off the track. Would certainly make sense. So disappointing there for Denyer, one of the front runners in the Amateur Championship at the moment. Is there going to be contact? There is contact. The 166 running wide. That could be a slowdown as well for Leggett, which might be really costly, because we haven't had a proper green flag lap yet. I think he got away with that one. Stayed enough in the track, but now he makes a huge contact there with Wright. Oh dear, Adam with another spin like he had in race 1, and the 27 gets him back onto track safely, but he did nothing wrong there and got absolutely wiped out at Camino Rally.
Yeah, just a hapless passenger there, nowhere for him to go, and he's going to lose another position there. It looks like as that was Ben Hicks sending a very good move up the inside of Roberts, as he is able to move his way up into 20th position.
And of course it's that top sort of 12 that you want to get into in order to get those potential for reverse grid. And Hicks is, oh, he could. Well, I say that, he's quite a long way behind. You can see a huge gap between 11th and 12th at the moment. Gordranson with a big gap. Gordranson could be reverse grid pole, but then it gets complex with the AMs and the pros that they're reversed separately, of course, so I'm not quite sure exactly what the maths will be on that, as Terrier Flatson storming through. He's up into 15th place. He started down in 20 seconds. A good work from him, as Woodhouse has got past Layson Oh, but there's contact between the two of them. Here comes Freitas, who's been doing this all night. Oh no, the 53's gone on the inside. There's surely going to be a crash. No, Harris pulls it off with a pass on the grass. And it's not exactly the usual passes on the grass because he was totally out of control there, but he had track position, and that is a monumental move. Well, Freitas moves up into second place. Again, like I was saying before, doing what he does, just catching out when other drivers are running each other off the circuit. And Harris, well, he didn't lose a place out of there, but had he pulled that off, that would have been move of the season.
It would have been the move of the year as we watch him go down through Aqua Minerale, and this has allowed for all of the pros to line themselves up here. Freitas, Woodhouse, Harris, and Hussein now dropping Layson's out of the picture. Hussein trying to make a little bit of a look here on Harris, who's trying to take a look on Woodhouse going through Variante Alta. They're going to be side by side exiting the corner. Harris is going to lose out, but that's going to allow for Hussein to get a little bit interested.
I don't think Woodhouse has covered it off. He should have got to the left of the circuit sooner. Instead, he's left the inside totally open there for Nabis Hussein, who will surely move up another position here. And that is bad news for Harris there, who may well see one of his rivals sprint off into the distance. So Hussein now 3.7 seconds behind Crisp with 7 minutes to go. Now, he made up a similar gap, I think, in a similar amount of time in race 1. So this race win still open for Hussein. But now he's really vulnerable, it seems, from Woodhouse, who maybe has a bit less drag on that Audi RS3. He's on the outside. I doubt he'll be able to pull off this one. He is later on the brakes, so how much room will Hussein give him? Carried too much speed in the end and was able to get ahead. Look at the line there from Harris, getting the real over and under on his rival there on the inside into the real nerve chicane. Really tricky part of the track to overtake, not much of a braking area, and this is the part of the circuit where he went off the track on the last lap. He's not going to have to go off the track this time, but there is a bit of contact between the two of them. Woodhouse shoved out of the way, and Harris needs to fall.
And Layson doing a good job not to insert himself into that too much. He knows that that's not really a battle. We're going to go back and check out that replay of that move.
I think he just had the momentum here and couldn't get anywhere else. A few people in the chat saying, well, isn't this a penalty? But I mean, if he'd caused a collision, I'd be like, oh, what an idiot, what an idiot. The fact that it nearly worked out, I think he should be given a knighthood, if I'm honest with David Harris. I mean, that was genuinely close. Oh no, oh dear me. Oh, maybe karma is a thing, because Harris has crashed, unfortunately. We're in a weird part of the circuit as well, so this is with Woodhouse, who's already had a few incidents with, and has Woodhouse turned him a bit of contact there. Ooh, I think that was a bit... I think Woodhouse has got to kind of get the blame for that one, because it wasn't totally square on there, and then Harris tries to get back going, but that car's totally wrecked, and well, a lot of championship points lost.
Yeah, a lot of them lost there, and a bad day for him. But we go back live as that is Woodhouse in a tight little battle there. That's Tim Perry right behind him.
So I think Woodhouse lost in all of that, didn't he? Because he was up in, he should be P4. But he's now behind Layson, and he's also dropped behind Young as well. So Woodhouse lost out in all that, and Young, very under the radar tonight, having a terrific time of it. He's up 7 places in this race too.
Yeah, got up a good advantage there as we watch Tim Perry just hustling him around to the best of his abilities, trying to see if he can find any sort of vulnerability to be able to attack.
I really don't know who's the faster out of these two, honestly. Perry, kind of where he started, actually, but yeah, Woodhouse had an awful time, 58.17 compared to Crisp's 54.56. By the way, third place man, as we've got Shirley a bit on the extremities of the track. And what's that? Rainford. Oh, Ben Thanes is up there. To see, we got that Thanes is in this race. Remember, was up in P3 on lap 1 of race 1. Got wiped out, unfortunately, by Hussein. And that totally ruined his race 1, but he has gained a lot of places, 23 places gained for Ben Thanes to move up into 9th place. But yeah, Hussein currently taking half a second a lap out of the race leader. Gap's down to 2.8 seconds, apologies. And so it'll be close by the end. I don't think he'll catch up. He needs to catch up a bit more than what he is currently doing, as Woodhouse having to still go defensive against Tim Perry. But good news for these guys is that Layson and Young look like they're about to battle, so they may fall into their clutches.
They may indeed, but that looks like it's Rainford behind trying to get very aggressive on Tim Perry to see if there's anything doing there. Look how close that's number 8 machine's getting. That's allowing for Ben Thanes to catch up to this. This is really a battle of give and take. You try to make a position, it doesn't work, and it puts you right back into the clutches of the driver behind you.
Yeah, it really does. And I think we've seen this a few times tonight where, yeah, if you're not moving forwards, then you're going to be moving backwards. And that is the worry for these 4 drivers, particularly Tim Perry. We see Flatson catching up to these guys. He will be on these guys in a few laps' time if he can keep up that type of pace. Running board now with Ben Thanes here in the Audi RS3, car that's been on the service for much longer than these other cars. I'm sure we'll know it very well, as early on the brakes actually there was Rainford. They're really bouncing up ahead. Woodhouse still able to stay ahead of Perry, and now Rainford's left himself very vulnerable. Thanes sticks his nose up the inside. Had to be a bit early on the brakes just to avoid the Honda ahead of him. And now Thanes is marching ahead. Rainford with the slipstream though, alongside as they are dead level. Rainford back ahead, but the inside line for the Belgian driver might be able to make this move stick. He certainly should be the faster of these 2 guys, but actually Rainford carrying much more speed. He should bend off and keep 8th place.
Looks like he's going to able to avoid contact through Agua Minerale, but that's a good run for Ben Thanes. Is he going to try to move on the outside here of Variante Alta? That's Rainford going defensive, trying to cover off that inside line.
And just ahead of them, a bit of a muggings there. Perry absolutely doing Woodhouse, who did not cover off that move. Woodhouse racer, I wonder if he's actually got a slowdown perhaps. That'd explain why he was seemingly so vulnerable there into Variante Alta. Maybe still serving it as he's going to the defensive against Rainford. Bit of contact between the 2 of them, and Woodhouse remains in 7th place, albeit a lot of effort being expended on it as he's into the pit. So why is this for Woodhouse? He wouldn't have got past the instant limit, would he? I go to check, even though I don't have admin privileges. But in fact, actually, was Mark Woodhouse given a black flag? I'm seeing it maybe an admin penalty, so maybe Woodhouse was given a penalty for that instant earlier on. As off the track goes Rainford, that's going to be quite a nasty slowdown now for him. He drops behind Ben Thanes. He might fall into the clutches of Shirley and Flatton.
He's got to be very careful on how he gives that time up. You've got to be very, very strategic about it. iRacing obviously having the full countdown now that you're able to go through. As we've got side by side, this is Freitas and Hussein. Hussein trying to make a move to the work to the outside here of Piratella. He's got the momentum, he's got the line now, he's got the speed, and he's going to have the better line going down to Agua Minerale.
Has to make it now if he's going to win this race, and he has passed Naveed Hussein. Excellent overtake, and so we are going to be super close to getting another lap, like mega close. We were literally halfway around the lap with a minute to go, and this is a 1:55 lap. So I think we should make it. I think the second half of the lap is it a bit faster? Maybe it's a little bit faster than the first half of the lap, I'm really not quite sure. But you can see it's ticking down, 25 seconds remaining. Now, hopefully, for the race leader, that will be it as the car number 3 with a penalty. Okay, so that was Mark Woodhouse, so that explains a 30-second stop and go. Well, that kind of a bump onto the back of Damien Harris. The time is ticking down. I don't think we'll make it in time. We will not make it in time. The checker flag is out, and just in the nick of time as well for Matthew Crisp to take another race win. Race number 2 goes his way, and he has been a little bit fortunate tonight, but he's made no errors, unlike everyone else, and that is a brilliant performance. Layton gets his 2nd amateur race win of the evening, and crucially, in 6th place will be guaranteed to be within the reverse grid is Perry, and in 12th place is Cal Burr. I think 12th place out of the pros though, might even go all the way down to Hagen, so Hagen could be on pole position come race 3. Not quite sure what will be going on with that one, as it is a random reverse grid as far as I'm aware. Dean Catherwood hopefully not with the same, well, it's still an exciting finish for Catherwood. He beats, in fact he got beat by Palmer by 100th of a second, so good work there for Palmer. Catherwood very slow at the end, and he lost that position by a very small margin. Yeah, on our screens, it's showing as Palmer behind, but on the timing, it is saying that Palmer was ahead. So I think Palmer did manage to get him right on the line there. I mean, it's been quite an eventful evening, I see, DJ, but I think it's been a very entertaining one. I've had a lot of fun so far, and we've still got one more race to go.
Yeah, indeed, and I think eventful is the lowest way of putting that. It has been absolute action from flag to flag. A lot of coming together, a lot of banging doors, kind of what you expect here in this TCR division. But just anything can happen here at this point, and it's really pretty incredible to see. It's some great on-track action. We've been able to stay clean and green. You've seen some fantastic battles in Imola, providing a great circuit for these little TCRs.
Yeah, I think it's been really good. I mean, we've seen overtakes everywhere. I mean, we saw that overtake at Aquaminerale, we've seen it at Piratella, at Variante Alta as well, and of course into the more traditional places like the Tamburello and the Rivazzo and Co. So, no, really good places, or really good racing opportunities around this track as we see the final results. Maybe one more lap, Hussein could have got crisp. Yeah, maybe. It would have been a push, but I'm sure Crisp was happy when the checker flag came out. Freitas was in 3rd place. Layson really strong up there in 6th place. In 4th, he was only just ahead of actually Chris Young, who has gone really under the radar tonight, but a lot of points for Chris Young. Congratulations to him. Tim Perry was in 6th place. Then it was Ben Thanes, who was up 25 places in the end, in 7th. Then it was Jared Rainford. Martin Shirley was 2nd place out of the amateurs. Really just kept it clean there, did Shirley. He managed to hold off Flatton as well. I thought Flatton was easily going to get him, but Shirley's pace was good enough to hold him off. Then was Gulbranson rounding up the amateur podium. There was Cal Burr, Hicks, Wright, De Kuiper, Denyer, Palmer, Catherwood, Hagen, Woodhouse, Roberts, Neto, Leggett, Stevenson, Ask, Malcolm, King, Parmenter, and then Harris, who crashed out, Schill, Loins, and Gardner. So the first 2 races this evening have been absolutely exhilarating. I'm sure you want to view race 3, and that will have a reverse grid. It should be the craziest of all of them. And of course, to watch that, you just need to keep on this stream. We should be back with you in about 5 minutes time once the session is up. And in fact, we can say that the reverse grid positions are 8 for the Pro and 7 for the AM, which will mean that Terje Flatson will be top of the Pro drivers, and it will be Ben Denyer top of the amateur drivers coming up in race 3. So you do not want to miss that one. Keep tuned on Apex Racing TV. We'll be back in a mo. Welcome back to the Simutec Motorsports TCR Winter Series live on Apex Racing TV. Once again, my name is Sam Fitzpatrick. Once again, I've got DJ Clark alongside me with Sam Kumo, bringing you this broadcast on Apex Racing TV. Just a quick word actually on our sponsor for this series, Simutec. If you want to drive a professional motorsport simulator used by real racing drivers, be expertly coached and engineered to learn and navigate your way around some of the best circuits in the world in some of the fastest cars available, and also become a faster sim racer and get yourself on par with the esports pro drivers, you should visit simutec.co.uk, because at Simutec you are the driver. Do check them out. I think there's a link in the description below, simutec.co.uk, and thanks to them for supporting this series, and yeah, imagine making this broadcast possible as well. So yeah, huge thanks there to them for yeah, sponsoring this championship. Currently got 4 minutes to go in this practice session. Apologies for the little bit of a longer delay. It's very tricky doing these reverse grids because you've got to manipulate the grid. If I explained the process to you, it would be incredibly dull, but trust me, it's very fiddly. It's a hugely fiddly process, and I think iRacing quite often crashes as well. But so we are ready for this race pretty much, and yeah, I mean, from the reverse grids that we saw in race at the end of race 2, some smaller reverse grids, I think. Otherwise, we could have had a super mixed up grid, DJ. Instead, we're just going to see the top 7 reversed in the pros and top 8 reversed in the abs, or I think the other way around, in fact. So not so much of a big mix around, but seeing how mixed up the grid was in race 2 anyway, I feel like it's still going to be a lot of drivers out of position.
Yeah, it certainly is, Sam, and we're going to see a lot of these drivers, I think, having to be a little bit scrappy to try to get their way forward. The one bit of solace that we do have is that we've seen so much overtaking getting done here at this Imola circuit. I think some of the more experienced drivers, the drivers that we've seen winning these races up towards the front of the field, they know that the overtakes can come, and you don't necessarily have to force them. So we could see a little bit more patience coming out of a few of these drivers as they sort of wait to work their way forward as it is.
I think, as far as I'm aware, I think I just looked at the end of race 2. I think I saw that Terrier Flatson was going to be on pole position, and I think that's only just, DJ, because it feels like a while ago that Flatson was leading. It wasn't for very long, but he took pole position, was leading for pretty much the first lap of the race, so actually pulled out a little bit of a gap, but unfortunately got wiped out in race 1, then did a really good recovery in race 2. As far as I'm aware, he will be pole position for race 3. I must say, I mean, at least from my perspective, I think he might run away with it, because he seems really quick tonight. Naveed Hussein looks very quick as well, but he'll be starting further down the order in P6, I think. So, I mean, I kind of hope that Flatson dominates this race. I want to see it entertaining, but I think it would only be right for Terrier to get back some important points in the championship, because through no fault of his own, he's lost a lot of points in race 1 and race 2.
Yeah, indeed, and that's kind of one of the saving graces here with this third race in the day-long schedule, is that if you have that bad opening round and you're able to fight your way back forward in the second round, you can find yourself up at the top. And with the speed that we've seen Flatten have, I think he is going to be pretty dominant out there today. The only flip of that being is that we haven't really seen him running clean air outside of that first lap of the first race. So it'll be interesting to see how that car performs over the course of a longer race distance if he is able to pull out up into the lead.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. His overtaking has been really good. We haven't seen necessarily a whole lot of his overtaking. I mean, there's been so much action going on. I mean, anyone who's just tuning in to this broadcast, thanks for popping along. I mean, do watch this race 3. It should be a lot of fun, but maybe after race 3, do watch back race 1 and race 2, particularly the start of race 2, because yeah, a lot of stuff happened. It's been a very entertaining night of racing, and yeah, hopefully the drivers have enjoyed it. Hopefully you guys as well watching along have enjoyed it as well. As just a few more seconds of this practice session remaining until we get back into the flow of things. I don't know if we could see the track conditions out there at the moment, because it looks like it's quite late in the day. I think the time of day is a bit different. In fact, it's only 2 o'clock actually, but it is 30th November, so not too far off the winter solstice, so the sun is still casting quite a bit across the track. 81 degrees Fahrenheit, so fairly warm for these drivers to deal with, as the checker flag is out. And we have got the grid up, and this is an interesting, and unlike race 2, it really gets mixed around, because not only is just the pros are put ahead of all the amateurs, and so it's totally mixed up. For some of the amateurs, they'll be dropping back 20 odd positions. So this is the situation. Flatson on pole, then it's Rainford Thanes, who was looking very quick in qualifying, so watch out for him. Tim Perry in 4th, then it's Young, Freitas, Hussein, Crisp, who's won both races so far tonight, Hicks and Wright rounding out the top 10 there. It's Roberts, Hagen, Ask, King, Harris, Loins, Gardner and Woodhouse. In the amateurs, Denya is on pole position, followed by Leggett, De Kuiper, Calber, who's the only man yet to get onto the grid, Gorbranson, Shirley, Layson, Palmer, Catherwood, Nato, Stevenson, Malcolm, Parmenter and Schill. 32 cars, but Calber is still not on the grid, and we are seconds away. I'm concerned the Belgian driver who should be taking that 22nd position slot is not going to make it, and the Dynamics Racing Simulators driver has not made it, so there will be a hole in the grid. But Flatson, after a dreadful night, can he get some solace in this race 3? He leads us away, and it is a strong start for him. Once again, P2 from the grid, going absolutely nowhere. Rainford immediately drops down to 3rd place. Freitas looking very racy, as he has been all night long, trying to overtake on the outside. There any opportunity for Thanes to overtake the race leader? No, and Flatson able to pull out a lower of a gap. Rainford staying in that 3rd place, then Freitas up into 4th. He's up 2 places from his race start, albeit he's still got Tim Perry very close behind him, and Chris Young, who's had a really good night so far, also looking competitive in 6th place. The drivers navigate the Villeneuve chicane for the first time in the amateurs. It's James Leggett who's managing now to get ahead of Ben Denya, so Leggett leads in the amateurs. Bit of contact further up, I think Ask and Roberts coming together slightly. Roberts pushed offline and dropping 2 or 3 places.
Yeah, and everybody nice and clean here through the first couple of corners. That's not what we've seen through the rest of this race. Traditionally side by side there with Roberts. Roberts able to edge his way back a little bit. He's going to have to hold on to that position as King's able to get on by him. Going down single file here. I don't anticipate anybody but getting really super aggressive through Agua Minerale early on in this race. And indeed, single file through here, waiting to see if anybody's going to have a move up into Variante Alta.
And waiting to see if anyone's got any slowdowns, because it seemed like everyone was really pushing the track limits a lot there, but at least as far as I'm seeing, I'm not seeing anyone slow down and letting a lot of cars pass, because this one is also a big wariness. You don't want to go beyond the green the green kind of runoff there. Seems like Ask has got a slowdown, so he's kind of the one loser out there. As Young, who's had a brilliant night as Chris Young, unfortunately he seemingly has had some contact. Does well not to rejoin the circuit immediately, because there's a lot of cars coming through, totally blindsided. He does get back on, nearly making contact with Layson's, and he's now right in amongst the amateur drivers.
Yeah, and a veritable hornet's nest, and he's about to get maybe overtaken. That's Dean Catherwood trying to look to see if there's anything to do there. We've got a little bit of a battle for the lead shaping up though, Sam.
Yeah, really close there is Thanes, who honestly I didn't think would be able to keep up with Flatson, but so far he has done so, and he's now trying to get past into Villeneuve chicane. He had one look, backed out of it, then he had another look, but he's backed out of it again. Freitas ahead of Rainford, and I wonder if Thanes is looking in his mirrors a bit at Freitas as here comes the Belgian driver, and Flatson's very slow, he's very slow. Is that a slowdown for him? I think it is. A huge mistake there for the man who I really thought would be sprinting away with this race win, but I think he's taken too much curb there at Villeneuve, and it has cost him dreadfully. Flatson drops down to 4th place. Crucially, he's still ahead of Hussein, but really this race win can go to any one of about 6 men at this point, as Perry is battling Hussein. Hussein should have the better line, but now he makes contact. Will he hit the wall? He escapes the wall. He will get a huge slowdown over that. They carry on as if absolutely nothing's just happened there. They make more contact. This is not helping, guys. They've got a second slowdown right there. They both have to slow down because they both cut Aqua Minerale, and that has been a dreadful couple of corners for them and left them with a lot of work to do.
Yeah, it really
more contact.
does. Whoa, barely able to hold on to it there as here comes the Hornet's Nest. Everybody trying to get up and back into perspective as much as possible. Somebody off in the background there, I think that's Harris.
Oh, Harris has had a tough night, and that rounds it off. This will probably be his drop round. So, wow, yeah, it had to be Harris after a collision in race 2 as well with actually this man, Mark Woodhouse. Don't know if we get a replay of that one. Because that was crazy a bit. Actually, it's going to really kick off down into turn 1. So Dane's leading the way, Freighter second. Rainford still ahead of Flatton, albeit Flatton, will he go for a dive? He's much faster, he will get past eventually, but he can't mess around anymore as there's a little bit off track there for Rainford. Being able to keep behind Flatton, it seems. Heading into the Villeneuve chicane, so still 3rd and 4th place are those guys as we see this whole string of cars, very competitive drivers as well in this Perry category going through. Villeneuve as off the track goes Lawrence and Perry. Lawrence hit Perry and they're both into the wall.
Yeah, just a little bit of misjudging of the braking zone there that sends Tim Perry off and into that gravel trap. Some definite damage to the front of that number 83 car. Ben Loynes also looks like he's been caught out by it, and more contact, this time going through Tosa.
Oh, that was Leggett from the lead in the amateur category, and that car is absolutely stuck there. Wheels completely giving out. Catherwood as well, championship league going tonight. Catherwood's had a dreadful time. I'm pretty sure didn't receive any penalty through race 1, but if there's post-race penalties in this, I think he will do, because he tries to make it 3 wide when 3 wide really was not on. Another penalty, another replay that might be worth revisiting. And that one is that Daniel looks a little bit slow there. Apologies, that was Ask. Ed going a bit slow. I wasn't sure if that was a slowdown or not as he runs wide again. Ask's already got a slowdown. We know at least of one. They've got another one as well, but he's really pushing these track limits right to their edge. Here is Wright, who's been involved in a fair few incidents. He gets overtaken by Hussein, who got another slowdown a couple of laps ago, but Hussein at least back up to 7th, back where he started.
Yeah, so at least able to fight his way back up there. It'll be interesting to see if he's able to get anything going as we watch Thor Gunnar Hagen here trying to make a move on Wright. Wright getting a little bit defensive as they cross over the timing and scoring line. This is going to be a battle of the late breakers going down into Tamburello. Who's going to have it? It looks like Hagen's going to lose out a little bit.
Yeah, Wright taking a lot of curb there. Shows how much curb these cars can deal with. And managing to get that move stuck then on Hagen, but I think Hagen will have the pace to at least keep up with them and maybe go for another move in the near future. So it's Layson now leading in the amateur category. He's going for 3 for 3. He's got Denyer right on his tail, but I imagine Layson has just made that move because he has been much faster tonight. Contact though, that was an opportunistic move from Gulbrandsen. The line was kind of open there and he more than went for it. So getting past some of the back markers as well, I believe. Maybe Parmenter, I think, just trying to get out of the way as best he possibly can. Big contact there, that could have easily been a lot worse for Gulbrandsen. So it's still Denyer ahead of Gulbrandsen then after all of that. And Layson easily getting away now.
And I think actually that contact with Gulbrandsen, it may have kept him pointed the right way. It looked like that car wanted to break away coming up through Piratella, and that contact kept him straight. A little bit of a move to the inside there for Chris Young. Is he going to try to go for the move? He's not able to get it done. He's got to be careful. That's Niels de Kuiper behind him, and de Kuiper's going to be very, very interested to see if there's any sort of opportunity to be gained as a result of over opportunistic passing.
I could have really done a few laps around this track before this broadcast because you see the amount of curve that the drivers are taking around Barry and Tialta, and I'm amazed that's not a slowdown. I know the first one's a bit more generous, but the guys are absolutely all over it and not getting slowdowns. It seems it's quite surprising, at least to myself as a Young has actually made up a few places as Young. I think he was outside the top 20 at one point, but he's going to go for a 16th position here on Gulbrandsen. I think it would be best for Gulbrandsen to let this one go. And he sorts of does. It wasn't deliberate, but he outbroke himself and allowed Young past. Now it's very close for the race lead at the moment as this battle kicks off. Malcolm just at the back of it. Seems to sort each other out. But yeah, currently on that last lap, Freitas was 1/4 of a second faster than the race leader, so the gap's down to just 1/2 a second as we got Craig Schill off the track, and that's back at Tamburello. So he was already quite a long way back, and that seems to be a solo spin for him as yeah, this trade continued to rage on, Malcolm trying to gain places.
Yeah, Malcolm trying to get around Niels de Kuiper, and de Kuiper doing a good job to be able to keep up the pressure here on Gulbrandsen, just trying to see if there's any way by. I'm not really getting the sense that de Kuiper wants to push ahead right now. I think he's just seen a couple of mistakes out of Gulbrandsen, and he wants to see if he can force any more. That was almost one right there, almost a slowdown coming through Agua Minerale. Is now Malcolm looking interested, weaving this way and that. Not going to go for the move, but just trying to fill those rear view mirrors.
As we see our leaders going on to their 6th lap of this race. Keep an eye on the times popping up on the timing tower. It'll give you a good idea of kind of who's got the momentum. Flatton's not making much of an impression at the moment. That gap staying at around 2.2 seconds. You can see they're just matching. In fact, Freitas has lost a little bit of time on that last time round after gaining some time in previous laps. Thane's yeah, seemingly improving some on his times recently, judging by the graphic that we had on screen. Hagen back past right. No, he's not. Oh, is that going to be contact with the Team Mankind? No, he kept really good control of the car there. Hagen thought he was going to loop it, but probably just used a bit of throttle to get it pointing back around the right way. Crisp holding off Hicks. Remember, Crisp, winner of 2 races already tonight. Up 3 places so far in this race. He will be by far the highest point scorer if it ends like this.
It certainly will, and he's got to do a lot to mess up here to not walk away with the highest point score with those 2 wins. As we continue to watch here, Crisp, that's Hussein and Hicks battling it out behind him. Hussein looking very aggressive as he always does, diving down into Agua Minerale. Is he going to go for that move? Yes, he is. Late on the binders. Whoa!
I was not expecting that one. He's kind of just hanging out there. I think you know, trying to fill his mirrors like you were kind of pointing out earlier on amongst some other drivers. But well, that was a move, and he's saying look how quick he catches up as well. Hussein should have definitely won a race tonight, and it's a real shame that he had that concept because it's meant that we haven't seen as much of Flatten and Thanes up at the front as we should have done. But he is super quick, is Hussein, just involved in way too many incidents, unfortunately. But I think he'll be past Crisp in a matter of time. And remember, Crisp is the man who's won the first 2 races of the evening, and Hussein is making him look like an amateur driver now with the way that he is catching up. And the Audi RST is going to have absolutely no response. Surely he bumped drafting. No, he is going to pull out. He was leaving it a while, but no defence puts up there by Crisp. He knows that that 5th place is not going to be his for much longer. Hussein currently 5.2 seconds off the lead. He's not going to catch up to the leaders, but well, certainly P4 is looking very possible.
Yeah, I think it is. Welcome back here at a battle. This is Mark Woodhouse trying to fend off King and Thor Gunnar Hagen behind him. Ooh, King getting a good run there on the exit of Tamburello. He's going to be offline going into Villeneuve, but he can still make it stick. No, he's got to back out of it a little bit, but looks for a little bit of a take, and then Thor Gunnar Hagen's going to be very interested as they go now into Tosa.
Oh, I thought Hagen was going to go for the dummy there. Seemed to leave himself a bit vulnerable. King not at all fit defending into the hairpin, but seemingly felt confident enough that the move wasn't going to come from behind. Remember, Hagen was ahead of both Woodhouse and King earlier on in the race, but made a mistake a couple of laps ago at the Tamburello chicane, which dropped him behind. But it doesn't seem like Wright's got the pace on these guys. Even with them battling, he still seems to be getting caught by them, and so I imagine these 4 will stay very close to the end of the race as that's an off for Roberts just in the background. He was making some good progress on those gyros ahead, but that drops him down to 13th place and just ahead of amateur class leader Thomas Layson.
Indeed, and Layson also going to walk away with a good haul of points. If he's able to keep up this lead, he should certainly be the highest scorer on the day, winning all 3 races if things were to finish as the way they are right now. A great run for the Belgian.
Yeah, he's been really impressive, and I think he was 2nd place out of the amateurs going into this meeting, so I mean he'll be miles ahead. Now, oh, contact, and into the wall, Hussein! And will that involve others as well? I think they managed to avoid it. Can Rainford continue? Hussein's out, but has Rainford got too much damage? Hopefully that was just rear contact. I've got to get maybe a chopper view of that one. It's a tricky scenario that it's not a straight, it's a curve. And one driver will be saying, well, why didn't you tighten up more around that kink? And the other driver will be saying, well, I was just keeping my wheel dead straight. Why didn't you turn? And yeah, we'll see what the stewards think about that one. But wow, oh, that was into the wall then for Hagen. No, sorry, it wasn't for Hagen, for Hicks. But I think he's escaped any damage there, but he did have to go onto the grass and into the wall there, did Hicks. So, well, high-speed stuff.
Yeah, high-speed stuff, and it didn't look like that bad of an impact there for Hussein, but you can tell just with those high speeds, the damage that can cause as we watch here. Ben Thanes and Freitas now all over the back of him. This is that battle for the race lead.
And Flatson making a bit of progress as well, so well, on that last lap, actually, they all matched one another, but then on this lap, Freitas managed to gain a 10th through Sector 1. So maybe a slight mistake. I mean, we're talking about a 10th obviously. It's not a big difference between the drivers, but when it's a battle as close as this, it can be significant. And so Freitas is a bit closer, getting a bit more of that draft effect now, but certainly not within passing range. Flatson not doing a whole lot. He really needs to rely on these guys to start fighting if he's going to get in that lead battle. As we start what will be, I think, our 3rd to final lap of the race.
Yeah, just ticking over 15 minutes here, and it looks like Ben Thanes got a better run there out of Ravata 2, able to keep the gap over about 0.2 of a second. Under braking, though, Freitas able to close in a little bit more, really just keep up the pressure here. That's what he wants to try to do in these final 3 laps or so. I don't anticipate anything going crazy here until the last lap in terms of a last-minute maneuver. Freitas just needs to sit there, try to keep applying the pressure, see if he can force even a little micro mistake out of Ben Thanes, and then pounce if that opportunity presents itself.
And whilst Crisp will be the highest point scorer tonight, and maybe even the championship leader as well, Freitas will not be far off the championship leader. He came into this round as championship leader, and he might well be championship leader after 2 rounds, despite not winning a race as far as I'm aware. May have won race 3 at Okayama, I'm not quite sure, but he's certainly not necessarily the fastest driver out there, Freitas, albeit, to be fair. He's battling with Ben Thanes and Terje Flatson, but okay, maybe his qualifying positions haven't been great for Freitas, but he is well and truly maximising these results whilst others are having problems, and this is really what this championship is going to be won on. So he doesn't necessarily need to win this race, Freitas. It would be satisfying for him to do so. As better lap this time from Flatson, it seems. On the previous lap, Flatson gained by 0.4, but Sector 2, and there's 5 sectors around this lap, Sector 2 on this lap, Flatson gained by 0.2. That's a good chunk out. Half a tenth fastest through Sector 1, matching through Sector 3, and also a 10th faster through Sector 4, so this could be fastest lap of the race coming up for Terje Flatson, and you'll just be getting a bit of a waft of that slipstream as well from the cars ahead as well.
Yeah, just a bit of it, as you said. He needs to be a little bit closer, I think, if he wants to really take full advantage of it. Thanes, meanwhile, able to pull out by about a couple of hundredths there on that last lap, but again, under braking, very, very close.
It seems like the top 2's lap times dropping off a little bit. Now, that wasn't a personal best for Terje, but Well, no, sorry. I think it didn't come up as a personal best because he picked up a 1x, but I think it was actually his personal best, so it was a good lap there from Say, and actually was actually quite good from the couple of cars ahead of it with the amount of off-tracks they're getting. Kind of invalidates so many laps. It makes it very tricky to tell what their best lap time is. But busy, the gap is coming down, and yeah, 4 tenths faster that time round for Flatson, albeit not doing a whole lot in sector 1 of this lap. Can Freitas get past? He seems to be very quick through the first half of the lap, does Freitas, but I think it's kind of Variante Alta where he seems to just lose a little bit of pace, and that leads him too far back, heading onto the pit straight. But he's kept very close to Aqua Minerale, picking up a little bit of draft. Will gain a few hundredths of a second into Variante Alta, coming up on a bit of lap of back markers as well. Tim Perry just up the road. I'm sure he will not want to make any impact. Get down at 4 tenths. This is pretty much as close as Freitas has been all race.
Yeah, it's very close, but again, that 3 tenths of a second, that's about where we see it as he crosses over the start-finish line. So he's just got to really focus here on nailing this exit out of Ravazza 2. Runs it a little bit wide there. The gap almost up to 5 tenths of a second.
Yeah, I think he lost about a tenth through Ravazza, didn't he? And he kind of needs to gain a tenth. So we move on to the last lap of the race. Well, meeting this has been here at Imola. We knew that it was going to be fun, and it has sure been that. Flatson had a really rubbish lap actually. He was 7 tenths slower on that last lap than he was on the lap before. Had he done another mid-45, he would have been right with these guys, but I think he's left himself too much to do from here as 3 to 6. Lots of curb. That car seems to really eat up those sausage curves quite well. And also driving it super deep for Villeneuve, maybe sets himself a little bit wide for the second part of the corner. Loses a few car lengths, or well, maybe half a car length on the exit. But Thanes is doing everything he needs to. Remember, he overtook Flatson earlier on in the race, and that was probably where it was decided. He really pulled that one off extremely well. Starts it down in P3. And since then, Freitas has not really looked like a serious overtake. Has been on the gap up to half second. That's bigger than it was in the last lap, and of course the overtaking opportunity is really running out. Still Perry just sitting ahead of these guys. He should be fast enough to stay on the lead lap. Keeps it within the track limits as far as I'm aware there. Ben Danes is just a couple of corners away now from the race win. Further down the order, Layson top of the amateurs, Gulbranson and Denya in second and third. Not looking like that's going to change at all. And Chris will, of course, be the highest point scorer from this evening's racing after taking both the race 1 and the race 2 victory. But going through the corner, that all went wrong for Ben Thanes in race 1. It wrecked his race 1, it wrecked his race 2 as well. He got maybe a slight slice of luck. Starts in P3 for the reverse grid, but he's well and truly earned it, and he's done a lot with it as well. Because the Belgian driver of Flemish Simsports, Ben Thanes, approaches the line to take race 3 of the evening. He beats out Miguel Freitas, who I believe will be championship leader after tonight. Flatson with a good recovery to P3 as well, but he will be regretting not taking that race win. Chris will be highest point scorer. And here comes Thomas Layson, who is going to get a third race win of the evening. He has gained 12 places in overall positions in this race. I think up about 7 amateur positions as well. Excellent drive from him to move up so far.
Yeah, very good one. Ooh, Niels de Kuiper just barely holding off Palmer there, coming up from behind him as the last couple of drivers here running across the line to end what was a very chaotic but thoroughly entertaining day here at Imola.
Yeah, it's going to be fun rest of the season. Of course, remember these rounds occur every 2 weeks. So this series alternates with the IMSA Winter Series, also hosted by Sim Racers World. That IMSA Series had a couple of really good rounds. I think particularly the last round was a lot of fun at Watkins Glen. A couple of super close final laps in 2 of the classes. But yeah, this series will be back in a couple of weeks' time. And the next round of the championship is something that I should have thoughts of looking at before I started talking about it, because I'm not actually sure, but we've got a lot of British circuits, I know that, coming up for the rest of the season. It is Knock Hill, in fact. I don't know if you've done a broadcast yet round Knock Hill, DJ, but that will be my first broadcast round there. And I'm very much looking forward to it.
Buckle in, Sam. I've been lucky enough to be able to do a couple of them. That track is absolutely incredible, especially in these TCRs. It's going to be a whole bunch of fun. And I think those the suspension tweaks for the Hondas in particular are going to be most welcome there, because you got to take a whole lot of curbing to get a fast lap in.
Yeah, I mean, I do not know what the corner's called, but the kind of chicane, the single file chicane there, I mean, it's all curb. I mean, it's very tricky to avoid the curb in that sense. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Thank goodness that the springs have been correct on that. I feel bad for the the guys who've been racing in the official series around that track, who have had to dealt with it so far this season. Ben Thanes, then, your race winner for this race 3. Freitas in second place. Then it was Flatton, Crisp, Hicks, Rainford, Wright, Woodhouse, Hagen and King rounding out the top 10. Ask and Roberts were in 11th and 12th. Layson finishes top of the amateurs. He will be a long way clear in the amateur championship now. Chris Young was in 14th place overall. Then it was Joachim Gorbranson, Ben Denyer, Scott Malcolm, Neil Stevenson, Sean Gardner, Niles de Kuiper, Wayne Palmer, Martin Shirley, Sven Kalber. Tim Perry was the last driver on the lead lap. Then it was Greg Parmenter, Navid Hussein, Craig Schill, Dean Catherwood, Ricardo Neto, Brian Loynes, James Leggett and Damien Harris, who I think was in an incident through no fault of his own. There was a crash in front of him and he had nowhere to go. But Harris's championship hopes, I don't think he had a particularly good Okayama either. Maybe down the drain, honestly, after 2 rounds of the season. Still got 3 more to go, but he's got loads of catching up to do, and with such a competitive field, it's unlikely that all of his championship rivals will have the same struggles that he has had so far this season. So hopefully we'll get some interviews with drivers, and I think we are straight away going to be able to get an interview with a driver. We've got Ben Thanes, who joins us in the commentary box right now. Congratulations, Ben. That is a very well-earned race victory. We will get to the high point later on, but we've got to go back to lap 1, race 1 with that contact. I imagine your heart absolutely sunk to the bottoms of the earth when you had that contact.
Yeah, it was really unfortunate. I saw Navid had a lot of speed, and first laps in the Audi you need to take a bit care, be a bit gentle on the braking. But I think Navid outbraked himself a bit, and unfortunately sent me into Terrier, I believe. So that was heartbreaking, but I'm sure it wasn't intentional of Navid or something. It just happens when you race. So yeah, unfortunate, but really happy with how things turned out in race 3.
Yeah, because of course race 2 you were storming up through the order, gaining lots of places, and then race 3 was kind of your big opportunity. Immediately got up into second place. If I'm honest, I thought Terrier was going to run away with it. I honestly didn't think he'd have the pace to keep up with him, just based on lap 1 of race 1 when he was able to pull away, and the fact that he got pole position. Did you expect to be able to keep up with him and pass him like he did?
No, not at all. He definitely has a great pace. I saw it when I was following him, but I thought let's just put pressure on him, and I think I made him take a slow down. So yeah, at least that's what I think, as I'm not sure. But that turned out wonderful. And then Miguel Freitas came behind me. And yeah, in the end I managed to take it home, but I am dripping in sweat at the moment from Miguel.
Yeah, I can imagine. He was always half a second behind, but he never got within passing range. Did you notice any kind of strengths and weaknesses between you two? Because of course you're driving different cars, so was there one part of the track where he could catch up but then you'd pull away?
Yeah, well, I think in the twisty bits, the Hyundai is really good, especially in the middle part of this track. But yeah, you would get to like 0.5 or 0.4 on the straight start finish. But then I managed to still keep going, and he never really come alongside. So that's definitely a strength of the Audi. I think it has a good top speed and good engine power. So yeah, that helps.
For sure. Before we let you go, Ben, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, well, first shout out to my teammate Thomas. With had I think two wins or 3 wins. I'm not sure in his class. So that's very nice. And of course to my team Flemish Simsports and our main sponsor Virago. Those guys help us massively. So big thanks to them.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on the race win tonight, Ben, and best of luck for the next meeting of the season.
Yeah, thank you guys. See you.
Ben Danes there, finishing, well, he didn't finish race 1, and I think 9th in race 2, and winner in race 3. DJ, who would you like to have a chat with?
I'd like to talk with the undisputed champion of the amateur division here today, Thomas Layson. Thomas, that was absolutely dominant for you in the AM class. Talk me through what it was like out there.
That was, I think one of the best triple races I've ever driven. That was madness. Started out with a massive qualifying lap for me, completely out of the blue. Just turn off the timer and just drive your heart out, and then qualifying is over, and you notice that you're starting in front of the amateurs in the middle of the pros, and then it's basically keeping up with the guys. Got a bit lucky, of course, taking P2 overall in the first race, sadly because of the incident. But the pace was good today, definitely. Race 3 had to work really hard to keep Denier behind me, but yeah, great racing overall.
Well, I'm curious, coming in as an amateur driver, does it change your mentality at all when you are up in the middle of the pros? Are you racing them any different, or is it just standard fare that's another driver out on track for you?
No, it's definitely calculating risks, right? You know that they're not your cup of tea. Basically, maybe you can match their pace, but there's no advantage to be gained in a championship. So the best thing you can do is try and keep up with them. Once you see them making a move, just back out, because there's no point in defending that. The only times when I consider an overtake is when I'm 3 or 4 laps behind the pro and think I can go faster than this, and then I have to calculate whether it's a risky move or not. If the door stays open, then of course I'll put it down on the inside, but I'm not gonna force anything if it's not necessary.
Well, I'd certainly say that strategy played off for you, but as we look ahead to next time out in 2 weeks' time, a little bit of a different track, a little bit smaller, a little bit bumpier, headed to Knock Hill. How do you like your chances and the Audi's chances around there?
I have never ever in my life driven at Knock Hill. I don't even know the track, so it's gonna be 2 weeks of work for me getting to know the track. Having a look where the opportunities are to make an overtake and so on, what curbs to watch out for, where the understeer kicks in and so on. So it's gonna be a big challenge for me personally, but the Audi is good on pace. I think the cars are really well balanced now, the way I see it. It's pretty fair. Every car has its quirks, but every car has its strength points, definitely.
Well, we wish you the best luck when we get there, but anybody you'd like to thank for this run of great races here today?
Yeah, thanks for asking. I wanted to wish my dad a happy birthday and dedicate this triple win to him. Happy birthday, Dad. Hope you had a great day.
I love that. That was your triple winner in the amateur class, Thomas Layson. Sam?
Yes, I think we've got one more interview to go with Mr. Matthew Crisp. Thankfully, I only got your name wrong once tonight, Matthew. so I'm calling that a win for me. But you got some wins for yourself, 2 race wins tonight, and by far the highest point scorer as well. You must be elated with that.
Yeah, definitely not something I expected coming into tonight. I'll be honest, I was going to be happy if I got 3 top 10s, so to come away with 2 wins and a 4th place, you can't really ask for more than that.
No, I mean, both race 1 and race 2, you were kind of being chased down quite a bit, particularly that race 2. I remember at the end of it, we were very close to getting another lap. Were you concerned about that? Were you quite relieved when the checkered flag was out?
Yeah, I saw on my overlay that it was so close to ticking over to that extra lap, so I thought I just afford to back off a little bit and just hope that it does go that 1 lap short, because I knew if I keep Miguel about a second behind, that would be enough to hold him off from that final lap, and I judged it perfectly in the end. So yeah, that race 2, the safety car threw a bit of a curveball, which when you're in the lead you don't really want. Not something expected to happen, but yeah, the restart I got that absolutely nailed, and then just drove off and just ticked off the laps.
Yeah, and you did superbly to hold on to that. The gap was, I think, just at 1.1 seconds at the end. I think you had a decent Okayama round, if I recall correctly. So, I mean, with this result, you're right in the championship hunt. How do you rate your chances?
Yeah, I came into this type, if things kind of went my way, I'd be in for a shot at the championship, and I did not. God, like Naveed and Damien, they're on paper much quicker than I am, but yeah, tonight went my way. Okayama was okay, but then it's those okay rounds that make up the championship. You can't, in a season that's 6 rounds, you can't afford DNFs. So at the moment, my worst result's a 7th place finish. So yeah, overall, I'm happy with that so far, and then we'll see what happens next time out.
Yeah, and we're at Knock Hill next time out. As a Brit, I mean, as far as I'm aware, you're not Scottish, but as a Brit, were you quite pleased when that track was added?
Yeah, it's a track that I've enjoyed on the few sims that it's actually on. I've not done that many laps on iRacing on it yet, but from what I've seen in TCR, it's a Hyundai dominated track, so we'll have to see what happens there. But then this round, I thought was a Hyundai track, and Audis have won all the races, so yeah, anything can really happen in this series. This has been proved tonight.
Yeah, definitely. I think you're right about that one. It's tricky to keep up with it all of it, and of course we had the changes to the Honda as well tonight. So I mean, who knows what that's going to make an impact for the rest of the season. Before we let you go, Matthew, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, just to my team, Alcantech, for supporting me tonight, pushing me on, and Ask Monsters, SimLab, Nyman Racing, Alvin Tech, and LXL iRacing Designs.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having a chat with us, and best of luck at Knock Hill.
Yeah, see you guys.
So that was Matthew Crisp there, your 2-time race winner this evening, and yeah, I didn't realise how strong a round he actually had at Okayama, so I imagine he'll be ahead of Freitas in the championship, but it'll be close. It'll be very close between those 2 drivers. Yeah, honestly, tonight's round, DJ, was some of the best fun I've had on a commentary for a little while, because there was so much going on. We were never short of stuff to talk about. It wasn't as clean as at Okayama, but I think it was even more entertaining.
I think it was as well. Just some absolutely stellar elbows out driving here. Drivers really trying to force the issue as much as possible. And I think we certainly saw the cream rise to the top. And while there's not a whole lot of change in that top championship order, we did see some favorites falling down the order a little bit. Flatten, Hussein, not having the best rounds out. They're going to have the bit between their teeth next time when we get out to Knock Hill.
Yeah, they need to gain back some points. Such a short championship, only 5 meetings, 15 rounds across those 5 meetings, so already being 6 races in, 2 meetings into the season. Yeah, they've got some catching up to do to a few of the drivers really will matter a lot. Will Knock Hill, which of course will be on your screens in a couple of weeks' time in this Simutec TCR series. Once again, thanks to Simutec. Do make sure to check out simutec.co.uk if you want to try some real high-end simulators and get better in the best cars and tracks in the world. and yeah, make yourself a better esports driver. It's a tool that a lot of the real life and esports drivers use, so do certainly check out simutec.co.uk. Of course, if you've enjoyed this video, please do leave a like on it and subscribe to Apex Racing TV. We've got much more action coming up over the next few days. Tomorrow we've got the opening round of the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup Championship. That will be from Bathurst, and then on Thursday we've got more TCR action. I think it might be from, apologies, from Brands Hatch for Apex Racing League Touring Car Britain. On Friday we've got Apex Racing League Prototypes. On Saturday we've got Apex Racing Academy F3. We've also got IGP Fun, Spec Racer Ford, Radical Racing Challenge, the official series in the Formula 3.5, loads of stuff on Apex Racing TV, so do make sure to subscribe to the channel and check out our social media pages on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. But for now, from myself, Sam Fitzpatrick, from DJ Clark and from Sam Kume, we are going to say goodbye, and we'll see you back in 2 weeks' time at Knock Hill. See you then.